Hello everybody, my name is Shoes. Welcome back to another video on our franchise mode in Planet Zoo. This time we are moving on to our third zoo on our franchise mode. This zoo is called the Serengeti Zoo, and this is taking place in Africa in the savanna biome. So we are finally getting into one of the more mainstream type zoos, and this is going to be a larger zoo. So we are starting something off new. I was thinking about doing maybe like an Australian zoo, but then I kind of looked around and there was only like 2 animals that were from the continent. And I was going to do that because I was thinking like, oh, because of all the wildfires there, maybe it's a good time to kind of bring a little bit of light to it. So, but then it really didn't end up working out because they only had 2 snakes from the continent and nothing else. So it was kind of sad. But that being said, we are going to move on to bigger and better things. Therefore, we are going to go to Africa and we are going to build the Serengeti Zoo. Now, a little bit of background information. I tried finding a good name for it, and this one came along. And there's this place called the Serengeti National Park, which is located in Tanzania, I believe, is where it is. Yep, in Tanzania. I have Wikipedia open. Thank you, Wikipedia. And there is almost 6,000 square miles to this national park, and it's great. A lot of wildebeest run through here, and a lot of other animals that live in the savanna or grasslands actually kind of migrate in this area, which is great. So that being said, wildebeest is the #1 animal that uses this land. So we started off with wildebeests and the sable antelope. So we have 1 male, 1 female for each of those species, and they can be integrated within one habitat. So therefore we did this in this circumstance. So we end up clearing a nice space out for them. I use a nice gravel stone path. I thought that would be a good thing because I want it to be more natural, and I thought maybe gravel was probably the best bet for a pathway in this map. I think that worked out pretty well. It looks like it's unfinished, which is my intention right now. It's supposed to look like it's very temporary, so that's why I picked the gravel, and maybe once we start finishing some certain areas, we can move over to using more of a finished pathway. So we'll end up doing that at some point. But this is a nice little habitat, and maybe it's not the best for our wildebeest and our antelope, but it is a good place for them to start off at, and we can always make it another habitat for another animal later in the future, which is why I'm excited about it. So we start off toward the beginning of our park, very easy little entrance area. I have an idea of how to kind of bring out the park a little bit forward more. Now the thing is that it's going to be a very flat, tight grassland because grasslands don't tend to be very hilly. So it's going to be very easy for us to deal with, although it may look like it gets boring a little bit of the time. So I had to try to figure out a way to make it so it's not boring, to say the very least. So I'm thinking about maybe putting in like a little village in this and trying to, kind of just break it up a little bit so it's not just flat land, but trying to add some nice little stuff into it. Maybe add in an oasis or something like that as well. That is kind of the plan for this map as of right now. If you guys have any suggestions, please leave them down below. I would highly appreciate it. It would really help out because I kind of just said, you know what, I feel like making another park. So I went ahead and did this. Now I do want to mention 2 things. So my first zoo was the Katahdin Zoo, and I haven't touched that since I started the Shizen Zoo. So therefore we are going to either discontinue it, or we are going to make a brand new zoo, or we just kind of suck it up and deal with what we have right now and see how we can recover from it. Because right now it's big, it's just so big, and I need to fix up so many different things in it. I just didn't like where it went. So if you guys have any suggestions on that, please let me know. But as for the Shizen Zoo, that is great. We're going to continue on that also. I just kind of had to break it up. I've been doing a lot of Asian themed buildings, so that's why I wanted to get into this and just get started. Right now I'm letting the game run right now because I want my mechanics to actually discover new technology. I was just trying to get them to at least discover the Africa biome themed buildings and whatnot, so that's what's going on right now. But one thing that I didn't mention is that I actually built a third zoo already. This isn't my third zoo. And my third zoo is actually done in the tundra biome, oddly enough, and I just didn't share it with you guys. And I'll be completely honest, I didn't share it with you guys because I'm basically bankrupt in that zoo. So you may have caught at the beginning of this video, I don't know if I cut it off or not, but I did have in my trading post 2 polar bears, and I made a polar bear habitat. But I gotta say, that was probably the worst habitat I've ever made. Plus, it put me into debt because they require about 10,000 square meters of space, which is absolutely ridiculous. It used to be like 12,000. So, I mean, like, they didn't really dummy it down at all, but I mean, like, it is what it is at this point. But I couldn't continue it because I went bankrupt. Their food cost so much. My people couldn't get any, like, good viewing angles. They didn't want to donate. It was like I couldn't do anything. I even put down, like, restaurants and stuff like that, and people didn't go to the quick service places, and it was a whole heaping pile, just mess and stuff. I'll leave some screenshots up there for you about how it looked. It was just a big mess. But back to the habitat here. I apologize, it's gonna be a shorter video, but that's just how it is because I don't have everything unlocked yet, and I'm just trying to get the zoo started. So, but as of right now, what we have, we are going to build a little learning center that's going to be underneath a little pavilion area, which I think would work out just fine. And hopefully people will use it. I assume that they would, but making sure that they do, I'm going to try to draw them away as much as possible from the close to the entrance of the park. I want them to kind of go around and use all the facilities they can. But once we unlock our nice Africa theme building pieces, we do build a strictly themed Africa building here. So it's a little bit difficult of how I make this, and I'm going to go through a little bit of the thought process right now. I put down a simple roof piece, and I throw down these nice little pillars that look like more like they're structure beams, and I kind of line them up. And I have them sticking out the bottom just slightly, and I have them sticking out the top a little bit. So it looks like they're kind of going through each other. It looks like they're like locked pieces. It just looked right for an Africa theme. That's basically what I'm getting at. And we didn't use any other pieces in here except for just facility pieces that come with the base game. So things like education boards and stuff like that. But all the construction pieces are all Africa themed. So that being said, we do have nice bamboo at the top, and then we have nice wood. I think all I do is add wood to this building. So it works out very well. It looks like it's a nice comfortable area to go under, and it's got that awesome Africa feel that you see in a lot of other zoos where you can just go under there and you just feel like you're in the proper place. You feel like you're in Africa, and that's one of the greatest feelings ever. And it's honestly one of the most special when you're at a zoo. Even knowing that it's like very consistent throughout the United States, like all these zoos that most of them are Africa themed with all these Africa animals, it kind of doesn't get old, which is kind of cool. So, but we're gonna throw our own spin off to it, and we're gonna kind of give it a little bit more of a personality, and we're actually gonna add a clay mud building. So I think that's a correct term for them, but it's gonna be more of a mud building. So we're going to integrate basically all different types of Africa building pieces into this, which I think will work out very well. Plus, I do want to mention that I am only adding Africa animals to this zoo. I was considering maybe doing a tropical or strictly desert type of biome somewhere, but I decided against that just because there's so many savanna animals. Plus, I already did like a tropical one for like Asia. So we'll just leave it as is. If we want to get into specifications later, we can, but I want to kind of do another general one. The East Asia themed is a little bit strict on what they have, and we're still working with that, as you guys know. But that being said, I'm not going to waste too much time talking about it. This is a nice little habitat building, and the thing that I like about it is that, you know, people can't just go up to look through a piece of glass to see the animals. There's going to be enough animals in here as it is, so we're going to make sure that people can see it from a distance so they don't get all upset, and so that our animals live happily ever after. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that we do have wildebeest in here. Now, these wildebeest actually like to be in bigger groups. And unfortunately, we don't have a big enough group for them. They want to usually go in groups of like 7 at a time at least. That's the only thing that we struggle on, is that we just don't have enough for them, but we'll do some more breeding and hopefully it increases their count. And I think one of the unfortunate things is that you can only have like 1 male in there at a time. Otherwise they'll have issues with each other, which is very sad, but you know, it is what it is. Now the rest that I do is really just fixing it up, making sure education is a thing in the zoo. I do add in 2 different locations of where people can learn, and if it's really just a test run right now, so we're gonna see how it goes. And one thing that I did want to make sure I did properly is the education building actually is used, because unfortunately our outcome for the Shizen-Hogoku Zoo with our tiger temple, nobody's going in there because they're all looking from one side, which is very unfortunate. So I had to figure out how to fix that now, which is kind of why I just kind of wanted to do a new zoo. I'm just kind of like, this is just so dumb. It's such a great building, but nobody's using it, so. But I'll figure out a way to fix that. I wanted to break up the thinking a little bit and get into something new. Now with these rocks toward the front, I do end up adding them in because the terrain is very choppy toward the front, and rocks are a great way to kind of split that up. And in order to make it look more natural, make it look kind of cool, is by putting some nice little plants out in front. I wanted it to look a little bit more green. There wasn't a lot of green in our habitat, so I wanted to add a little bit more to it. So the more color, the better. It's going to look a little bit more on the grassland side, which can be good and can be bad. It all depends. But that's really all I have to share with you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the nice little visuals at the end. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, or if you just want to help support the channel, do that as well. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already to stay up to date on all things. Any comment suggestions, leave me down below. I will be sure to get to them, and I hope to incorporate anything you guys have to talk about. And guess what? If you join our Discord and you subscribe, if you do both those things, then let me know. I will give you a free shout on the next 3 videos, so be sure to take advantage of that. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.